This is a film study look at how the Seattle Seahawks pass rush and their defense overall dismantled the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 6. 20-12 win on the road, critical win after the home loss to the Bucs, obviously. Pushes Seattle's record back to 4-2, 2 games above 500, trying to keep pace in the division, but also making a statement. I mean, 7 sacks total, a number of different guys having an impact here. 20 sacks at this point through 6 games. So many guys involved. Byron Murphy leading the way with 4.5 sacks. Uchenna Nwosu is second with 4, which is an amazing development. One thing I want to comment before I begin the film study is I have some familiarity with Mike McDonald's defense over the years, obviously being a Ravens fan and covering him for the 2 seasons he was in Baltimore. When the blitz percentage is quoted and talked about so much, yes, he blitzes less at this point than so many other teams in the league. In fact, maybe they have the lowest blitz percentage of any of the 32 teams. But one thing I will say is he definitely has differential 4-man blitzes. They're safe blitzes. Oftentimes, there's an inside linebacker blitzing and an OLB dropping out, a safety and an inside linebacker blitzing, maybe both OLBs or edge defenders dropping out. That's not what we see here against Jacksonville. These are organic 4-man rush schemes. Basically, here's our 4 rushers. We're going to beat you. They definitely took advantage of Jacksonville's left tackle, the left side of the offensive line. In my opinion, played an extremely physical brand of football, held Jacksonville to only 4 yards per play, 12 drives, 17 total first downs, only 3 on the ground. At the same time that they generate 7 sacks and multiple other QB hits and pressures. You also hold the Jags to just 59 yards rushing, 3.1 yards per clip. Let's get to the film, and we can show you how Seattle got this done. I think I've got 10 plays or 10 clips total to go over to display each sack. Not going to do each one from both angles, but look, with no Witherspoon, no Julian Love, no Reek Woolen, I mean, wow, to do this to a team that came in averaging 25 points per game at home on their field, it's pretty incredible. First one that we're going to lead off with is the Murphy sack. It's a play action out of 12 personnel for the Jags. Some of these are really great coverage, if you ask me, by the defense. So first of all, it's a flood concept up here. You've got 2 deeper routes, and then the running back releasing into the flats. Really nice job here by Lawrence picking up this flat route to basically remove that as an option, as well as what that does is Job knows, okay, I don't have to handle the flat route. I don't have to handle the running back in the flats. They drop 8. Really, it's a 3-man rush. And when Trevor Lawrence goes to redirect, Byron Murphy's playing at an extremely high level, able to finish him off for the first sack. In fact, this is the first play of the game. They only to be sacked 6 times coming in and 7 in one game. A collective level of violence that not many defenses have brought in 2025, at least that what I've seen on film. 12 personnel, same play. Here's the 2 tight ends, one to the right, one to the left. Play action set up to the running back who then leaks out into the flats. Again, I think it's an underrated nature of this play in that Demarcus Lawrence is peeling out to the flats to take over that running back. He gave some type of signal to Ernest Jones IV just before the ball was snapped. Lawrence is clearly looking that direction. I mean, it's the only place for him to go with the football. Leonard Williams, incredible. You guys know what I think if you watch enough of my Seahawks content. I think he should have been an All-Pro last year. He's the key to so much of this. There's some double teams that happen. Incredible level of violence displayed by him. And then the finish by Byron Murphy, who's got ridiculous agility. It's a stop on the first possession. In fact, not only did they stop and force a punt, but the Jags actually lost 13 yards on the first 3 plays. We'll move forward here, and I'll just cover the end zone angle for this one. It's the 4th possession. At this point, Jacksonville is up 6-3, I think mid-second quarter. So got a mug look with Boye Mafe and Ernest Jones IV, and then Jones is going to get out of there and kind of shift to the other side. Seattle, everything's just very well coordinated. Like I said, for Emanwari to be playing so many snaps and them to be missing 3 of their critical defensive guys in the defensive backfield is truly an amazing performance. I can't remember one this dominant with so many legitimate starters out so far in 2025. So Jones is playing man. It looks like a man coverage here, but it's an organic 4-man rush that's a little chaotic. So you've got this switch between Mafe and Lawrence. And then really, to me, the weak spot that they wanted to take advantage of was the left tackle. Williams gets this thing done against the left tackle, basically swarming, enveloping Trevor Lawrence. They get the touchdown, I think, 2 snaps later, the 61-yarder to JSN, who's playing about as good as any receiver in the NFL to me. And that, of course, helped Seattle flip the script. They were down 6-3 here on a 3rd and 8. Williams sack gets a punt, and then the very first play is a touchdown to JSN, and they flip the script and take a 10-6 lead. Moving forward to the fifth possession, still up 10-6, another 3rd and 8, in fact, and it's an organic four-man rush scheme. Basically, they end up playing a cover 3 to trips. This is going to be one of Lawrence's 2 sacks on the day, but Leonard Williams is in the middle of it. So this is going to be Lawrence. He's going to fold underneath as Trevor Lawrence goes to try to step up. And why does he do that? Because he's getting away from, or trying to get away from, the pressure that I believe is created by Leonard Williams. And I'll try to show you the end zone angle of this one if I can. I think it's a cover 3. People may refer to it as quarter, half, or cover 6. And that's fine, because you do have a corner who kind of sits in the flats there, and then an outside linebacker or inside linebacker, Drake Thomas. So if you want to call it, quarter, half, cover 6, go right ahead. But in either way, it's a 4 underneath zone scheme with 3 deep droppers and an organic 4-man rush. Organic meaning who's rushing, basically, in Nwosu, Lawrence, Murphy, and Williams. Just a real sack fest early on. So this is the same play from the end zone angle. There's Williams. Here's Lawrence. Lawrence kind of delays this a little bit. It almost looks like it's by design for Williams to just try to rip in between the guard and the tackle here. Maybe he's grabbing the right guard's outside arm, I'm not sure. And then Lawrence basically ends up, Demarcus Lawrence, that is, ends up basically folding underneath. Williams has pushed the pocket back into Trevor Lawrence's face or his lap. You can see the underneath zone droppers, Manwari and Jones. I will try to do a standalone video on Manwari sometime later, perhaps Monday evening. Difficult to get to Ravens, Lions, and Seahawks film, but I thought this one was worthy of focus on, at least early this week, because Seattle produced 7 sacks. And oh, by the way, they get another stop here when Jacksonville misses the field goal. So many of these not just being negative yardage plays, they led directly to stops, or in the case of the previous one I showed you, a missed field goal to help Seattle retain their 10-6 lead. So 2 sacks in a row here, I believe, on the 7th possession. We're into the 3rd quarter. I think about 9 or maybe 8.5 minutes left. Seattle's lead has swelled to 20-6 at this point. Organic 4-man rush. Lawrence, Williams, Murphy, and Nwosu off on the right side. There's just not enough time or space here for Trevor Lawrence at all. Byron Murphy is soloed up with the center because they're pulling the guard and the running back to help out with this edge defender over here, Demarcus Lawrence. I don't think that's specific to Lawrence, to be honest with you. I think it's just the particular play that Jacksonville chose to run, and what ends up occurring is that Byron Murphy basically takes that center and beats him a half a man to his right, into what is the A gap. And then it forces the quarterback's vision to be basically minimized as much as possible. He doesn't think he's going to have time. You can't blame him at this point. The pass rush was hellacious. And even though the spot or the aiming point had moved here with Trevor Lawrence, moving forward, violent finish, man, by Lawrence and Byron Murphy underneath of him. 2 sacks in a row here, like I said. Just a unique situation for Jacksonville. They hadn't dealt with this level of pressure pretty much in all of 2025. Very next play, it's a 2nd and 10. We'll start with the all-22 angle. And another organic 4-man rush scheme. This one's going to be a split sack with Murphy and Lawrence. So the way that it's going to work is Murphy's going to work upfield, very similar to what you saw Williams do on the first sack by Lawrence. He's going to get in between the left guard and the left tackle. And I will give you the end zone angle so you can see this and, maybe do a better job of explaining it at that point. But he's getting upfield and ripping there while Demarcus Lawrence is ripping all the way around in a topside rush against the right tackle, and an incredible finish by Byron Murphy from the standpoint of just bringing some violence and some pain with the chop. They also double Leonard Williams, and that's one of the reasons that some of these sacks occur is that you have one-on-one opportunities for Byron Murphy, Lawrence, and Nwosu, and those guys are taking advantage of it. I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see what I mean. Same play from the end zone angle. So the way that this is going to work out for Byron Murphy, he's going to get upfield, and then Nwosu kind of steps upfield and goes underneath, while on the opposite side, Lawrence is making a high side rush. To me, this is a designed rush plan. This is not guys making 3 or 4 independent choices. In my opinion, this is a designed pass rush scheme with Lawrence on a topside rush. Here, whatever his preferred move is, fine, but he's got to go to this side because the Seahawks, are bringing a stunt from the opposite direction with Nwosu underneath and then Murphy trying to climb through that B gap. You don't always expect that rush to win, the one by Murphy. You don't always expect him to be able to get through here and then climb towards the quarterback. The left tackle, just no help at all. But how does it work, or why does it work? The math is in Seattle's favor here. They're doubling Leonard Williams, and because the running back is releasing to the outside, just not enough people to handle it once Murphy wins inside that B gap. Hopefully I explain that in a way that makes sense. These guys are winning. Murphy, Lawrence. I think Maffei actually had a couple wins. He didn't get a sack. But to me, Leonard Williams was a big part of it, and the way that Jacksonville had to treat him because his pass rush skills are so spectacular. They held Jacksonville to 4 yards per play overall and a season low, I believe, 273 or maybe 275 yards total. So 9th possession now. We're late into the third quarter. I think about 2 minutes left, and it's a 2nd and 2. They're going to go play action. So a tremendous play by Thomas, the inside linebacker, who, to me, this looks like an automatic. I don't think this is called pre-snap for the blitz. I could be wrong. On a 2nd and 2, that could be a quote run blitz. But to me, this almost looks like a reaction to this type of motion by the Jags, this jet motion that goes across. Overpowers the left tackle completely again. I think Seattle identified a weak point there, basically able to forklift him. And I love this from Nwosu. He's getting chipped by the running back, but he collisions him at the same time. So there's a definite attempt by the running back on the play action to chip Nwosu, but he takes a physical tone to it, if you will, basically ensuring that running back can't get out in the flats, and you can see what happened. Totally open lane for Thomas. They're in complete control, really, at this point. Multiple guys in on the sack parade. They've got 20 right now for the year. Like I said, Murphy at 4.5, and Nwosu at 4, Williams at 3, which is somewhat surprising that he would be 3rd on the team. I think his impact stats in this game limited somewhat by the way Jacksonville tried to protect themselves against them. Finally, the last one, 3:30 left, or maybe 3:35. It's a 3rd and 11. Seattle nursing a 20-12 lead. Another organic 4-man rush. So it's not like they're tricking anyone. It's not like an outside linebacker's dropping out and inside linebacker's coming off the edge, and you got all this crazy stuff that Mike Macdonald does at times, to create a safe 4-man blitz, if you will. So even the numbers, I think, don't do it justice. But it's the same 4 guys. I should say Byron Murphy's not on the field. Boye Mafe is over here. But it's really, let's all meet at the cornerback, to be honest with you. The running back helps out off the left side with Nwosu here. So they're adjusting, obviously, with the difficulty that the left tackle has had throughout the day. You've got another double against Williams. Do I think that one's specific to him? Yeah, I do. I think a lot of these have been specific to Leonard Williams, and it doesn't look great here necessarily. Trevor Lawrence isn't at the end of his drop. I think they're actually playing man Seattle here, and just an incredible finish. These guys played with tremendous effort and intensity, trying to get to the quarterback, trying to make up for the losses of so many of their key guys in the secondary. Like I said earlier in the lead-in, to generate 7 sacks and multiple other QB hits or QB pressures at least, and hold the Jags to 59 yards rushing while there's no turnovers. So it's not like they forced any turnovers to hold Jacksonville to 12 points. Jacksonville came in averaging 25 points per game. They've got a system. They were playing well. Don't get me wrong at all. They had scored 31 the last week against the Chiefs, 26 to beat Seattle's division rival, the 49ers, 2 weeks earlier in a 26-21 win. The only time they'd been held below 26 points was a 17-10 win over the Texans in week 3. And Seattle comes in there on the road in Jacksonville and limits them to 12 points. When you watch the film of this, you don't get the sense, at least I don't, that if they turn around and play next week, that things are going to change. It just looks like the type of situation where so many guys are getting wins for Seattle from a defensive line standpoint that if they can stop or slow down the run at all and put them in known passing situations, you guys saw a number of these plays. I try to give you as much information as possible. 3 of them that I presented here were 3rd and 8, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. One was of a play action nature. I guess 2, actually. You had the Drake Thomas sack where he destroyed the left tackle. My point is, under Mike Macdonald's system, what I know of it, when he can stop or slow down your run game, make you one-dimensional, then he can execute safe blitzes. That's not what we see here. This is just 4 guys lining up and beating your offensive line, your pass protection multiple times. I think there's some really intricate design on at least 2 of these that Macdonald and Durde deserve credit for, but really This is just 4 guys, 5 if you want to include Boye Mafe, getting in on a sack parade, even though he didn't have one, and causing intense pressure on an offensive line that cracked. I think Trevor Lawrence struggled with the pressure, and you can't blame him. To be able to generate this much pressure and destroy the pocket with only 4 guys rushing and dropping 7 in coverage, that allowed them to make up for the losses, on this day at least, of Love, Witherspoon, and Woolen. In any case, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. I'll have a Nick Manwari video out, hopefully late this evening, Monday evening, perhaps into Tuesday. He played extremely well, in my opinion. Played a lot of snaps, a lot more than he had been. So really cool to see that. I'm sure you guys are excited about it. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section, number 1. Number 2, if you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy this film study of how they generated 7 sacks and just stonewalled Jacksonville's offense, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.